Well, today has been quite the day. I got up really early to take my little kindergarten to school, and she had no school today, a teacher in service. I got her up, got her dressed, no school. Father of the year right here, but at least I got to sort of take her to school in this. It's really something. When a dealer friend of mine recently purchased this 1980 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Turbo Indy 500 Pace Car Edition, quite the mouthful I know, I was perplexed because for the money there's certainly much better muscle cars out there, and I've always personally favored the Smokey and the Bandit style Trans Ams from 1977 and 1978. Now, despite telling him this is a really silly purchase, which is quite an insult when you consider my own personal car history, about a LeBaron, my friend remained unabashed in his decision and insisted that I drive this car. I was kind of like, are you sure? Because you're going to try and sell this, right? Euro Asian Auto Inc., Wichita, Kansas, and you want me to review this? The Trans Am Turbo was one of the last dying breaths of the muscle car era, as insurance and emission regulations, along with a fuel crisis, completely wiped the muscle car from the face of the earth. Now, some may think these are more valuable because of their rarity, but the Pace Car Edition really isn't very rare. This Trans Am right here has probably never been to Indiana, let alone on its famous track, which is the case for the vast majority of the 5,700 built like this. They were just recreating the actual pace car from the race. Since everybody thought they would be collectible, many people enshrine them, put them in their man caves along with their Coke bottle collections. They're actually everywhere. It's actually rare to see a surviving non-Pace Car Edition Turbo Trans Am from this era. The fastest year of the Trans Am was in 1972, which sent its 455 cubic inch engine, sending the giant Fisher body to 60 in a little over 5 seconds. And by 1978, the smaller 400 V8 managed a respectable 6.6 seconds, 0 to 60. This 1980 model, despite its turbo power, wheezed its way to 60 in a pathetic 9 seconds. 9. All right, can you pull on this down here? Pull hard. Oh, you're not pulling hard enough. Hang on, let go. Oh, this is always a royal pain.
You're stepping on my hair.
Sorry. Okay, got it. Oh! The engine itself was apparently an experiment by a student, which took a beefed up 301 cubic inch V8 and crudely fixed a turbo to it, which resulted in only 210 horsepower. Surprisingly, this isn't the least powerful Indy 500 pace car ever made, as in the ensuing years, cars like the Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais and the Chrysler LeBaron Turbo also had the honor of barely getting up to speed in time to set the pace lap at Indy. So Ellie, what do you think of this thing? Got the turbo, it's up here, and you have a pipe going down the exhaust down here, and another pipe, and a mess of vacuum lines.
What's
That is the fluid for the overflow bottle for the coolant.
that? It looks like a pig.
It does kind of look like a pig. You're right. It's got a little weird tail. You need to go to the bathroom? Okay, go ahead and go to the bathroom. You're fine. So on paper, the Trans Am really isn't that impressive. But when you close the hood, and you don't want to open it again because it's such a pain to open and it doesn't look very pretty on there, you can take in all of the weirdness with this car, and really it's hard not to like it from the outside. The formerly fake air intake on the Trans Am is now actually functional, but not as an air intake. It's actually got a strange setup for a turbo gauge right in here. You can see the turbocharge. It's really weird, and you hit the throttle and the lights light up based on how much turbo boost you're using. It looks like it belongs in a nuclear missile silo, not on a classic muscle car. The rest of the car looks very vintage, so it's kind of out of place, but I love the creativity. It's neat. Cracks right over. Oh yeah. Now the seat belts, well, nobody wore their seat belts in 1980 anyway, but this one's not very good. Are you buckled in back there? Yeah. Have you evacuated your bladder?
What?
Have you used the restroom?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ellie, you want me to stomp it? Go fast? Push to the floor. Does that feel fast to you, Ellie? No, not really. No, it's not very fast. Yeah, that's not very impressive at all, but thankfully that turbo cluster on the hood makes it feel like you're going a lot faster. But the turbo pace car did get standard four-wheel disc brakes and the handling package, so once you got up to speed, it's about 70 miles an hour for the pace lap at Indy 500, you could go into the turns just fine, I imagine. It actually feels pretty tight for a car of this age and size. Yeah, the handling really makes this Firebird feel less like a turkey. I really also love the way this thing looks, especially from the interior, this engine-turned dashboard and these old-style gauges. It's just a nice old-school muscle car that still existed in 1980, but it definitely has a throwback to all the 70s goodness, except for that crazy thing on the hood. But I love the screaming chicken on this thing, the Phoenix on the hood, and how they integrated it with the offset intake, where it's blowing fire into the turbo cluster. It's very good looking. The whole car is really good looking. This white on white with these tweed seats and the turbine wheels. I really dig it. So we're gonna play a little game, because the Trans Am, there are a lot of birds on the Trans Am. So let's count the birds. How many birds do you see? I see one right behind you on the seat. Right here. One. How many more do you see?
I see one on there.
Yep, down here in the center console. Two.
I'm talking there.
Oh, on the shifter, you're absolutely right. So 2 and 3. And then what about the doors?
The steering wheel.
The steering wheel, so that's 4. See the doors?
Doors.
Yep. One on either side, so that's 5, 6. 6 on the inside. And then one big one on the outside on the hood. I think one more on the back, and then one on each wheel. 4 on the sides. There's like 50 birds on this car. It's too many. Come on, Ellie. You all right? So after experiencing this turbo Trans Am, I guess I can understand why someone would want to own a car like this. It's way more interesting than a sea of 60s Mustangs and Chevys that dominate the muscle car show scene. And it's a very good looking car that's just fun to cruise in. Just don't expect to win any drag races with any other muscle car, or really a Prius for that matter. Thank you for watching.
Like this video and subscribe. Click the subscribe button and we'll see y'all next time.
That was pretty good.
Goodbye.
I think you watched your tablet too much.